Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is January the 5th. The wild card round of the playoff schedule has been released. We're going to dive into all of that. We'll talk about what led up to that last night. We'll also talk about the early preview for the Packers versus the Bears in Chicago in the wild card round. We'll give you the early point spread, how the matchup looks as the way it sits right now, all of that information. Before we do, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning in to PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you look for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on these live streams. Anytime we do randomly go live throughout the week, we do multiple shows per day, a ton of content throughout the week. I want to say this, if the stream goes down, we're having some technical issues here with the internet. Hopefully it holds on tight and we get through this quick little episode. I know we got Dark Arts Poker already in the chat. Good morning to you. He says, absolutely wild. It's only the third ever playoff meeting between the Bears and the Packers. This game means a lot to the rivalry. It means everything to the rivalry. And I know we're probably a little more banged up than Chicago is. Chicago was banged up early in the year. They kind of got a little bit healthier down the stretch. Went the opposite for us. I'm excited to see this Packers team go out there and play against the Bears. As you guys know, last time it was complete collapse by the Packers. And obviously a lot to do with the injuries. Jordan Love leaves that game halfway through. We had a couple more injuries happen in that game. It's just all about getting the best product on the field, obviously, and trying to come out on top down there in Chicago. Going to be an absolute blast to see how that all unfolds. Again, if the internet goes down, if the stream just randomly ends, you know the internet went out. They're working on it in the area. I just want to try to get this in real quick. So let's dive into it. Packers, Bears, Saturday night in the Windy City. It doesn't get any better than this as the playoff schedule was released for the wild card round. And here is what we're looking at, guys. So on Saturday, January the 10th, you've got the LA Rams at the Carolina Panthers. It's a 4:30 Eastern kickoff, 3:30 for those of you up there on Lombardi time. And then, of course, the 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central kickoff is going to be the Packers versus the Bears. The black and blue division is alive and well. This rivalry, this is what the NFC North should be. And some of you old school fans, the NFC Central, right? This is what this should be. Packers, Bears at the top of the division, battling it out. This is everything that division was kind of built upon over the years. Obviously, you go back to Curly Lambeau versus Papa Bear Hallis, right? You go back to the Mike McCarthy and Lovie Smith days too, right? You go back to the Mike Holmgren. I can't even remember who their head coach was in the 90s. Was it Dave Wanstead, I believe, right? It's just going to be an absolutely awesome thing to see unfold. Now, here's the negative aspect of it, and I've already seen this on X. Many Packer fans upset that the fact that this is on Prime. And I get it. If you don't have Amazon Prime Video, that's frustrating, man. We grew up in a day and an age where, I know I did at least, where playoff games were always televised. Local TV had all the playoff games. Obviously, times are a-changing, as Papaw Bailey talking here. So the Rams at the Panthers is a 4:30 Eastern kickoff on Fox, right? And Fox 1. Packers, Bears, unfortunately, Prime Video. They know how valuable this game is, how valuable this rivalry is between the Packers and the Bears. We're going to dive into that a little bit deeper in just a second. Just to round out the slate here, you've got the Bills at the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS on Sunday. 4:30 kickoff is the San Francisco 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles. I like the way the Niners match up in that one, to be honest with you. The Eagles are kind of limping around here as they dropped 1 to the Washington Commanders yesterday. To kind of knock them, down in the seating, I guess you could say. They had a chance to beat the Commanders, they being the Eagles, and hold on to that number 2 seed. Unfortunately, they lost that game. It was like best case scenario for the Packers because I was kind of rooting for the Bears to win so we could play them in round one. Not that they're an easier opponent than any of the other teams, which I think some people would say they are, but it was more about let's be the ones to potentially knock the Bears out of the first round of the playoffs and kind of, even though they won the North, we know how they did with us limping down the stretch with all the injuries. How cool would it be to knock the Bears out of the playoffs or at least have the opportunity to do so, right? So 49ers at the Eagles, 4:30 kickoff, and then you've got over in the AFC, rounding it out that night, the Chargers at the Patriots for the 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff, and then Monday Night Football is going to be the Houston Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers as Aaron Rodgers with the dramatical, what an awesome game to watch last night. To have the defense and the special teams kind of screw them over multiple times in that game, and every time you thought, man, that's it, Pittsburgh's out of it. What happens? Aaron Rodgers takes them right down the field and scores. It was vintage Aaron Rodgers. If you guys didn't watch that game and you've got NFL Plus, go back and watch it. It was an absolutely awesome game. And Aaron just pulling it out there in the end. Now he's got to face arguably the toughest defense in the league in the Houston Texans. So that's going to be a battle to watch there as well. So those, again, to recap, all of the games on Saturday, Rams at the Panthers, that's on Fox. Packers at the Bears, 8 p.m. kickoff, that's on Amazon Prime. Sunday, Bills at the Jaguars is on CBS at 1 o'clock. 4:30 kickoff is the San Francisco 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles. That's on Fox. And then you've got the Chargers at the Patriots. That's on NBC and Peacock. And then, of course, Monday Night Football is going to be Monday night playoff game, Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that will be on, obviously, ESPN, ABC, and the ESPN app. So that is your slate of games for the first round of the playoffs. Everybody following in here. We got Rob from GBP Daily, says, good morning, brother. Happy Monday and playoff week. Happy Monday to you, buddy. It's awesome to be in the playoffs. I don't care how you get in. Just get in and give yourself a chance to play, all right? Mike in the chat, good to see you, buddy. We got Biz in here as well. So let's move along now. And why don't we do a little bit of a preview of the Packers-Bears? And again, this is an early preview. We're going to dive into this one very, very heavily. We're going to look at every corner, every facet of this game as we get closer to kickoff there on Saturday night. The early point spread has the Packers as 1.5-point favorites. All right. So again, Packers on the road, 1.5-point favorites in Chicago. I would not be surprised if that number changes, if it shifts as we get closer to the game. But again, why are they favorites? Let's look at some of the analytics here, okay? According to PFF and their team metrics, and we're not going to focus too much on the gambling money yet because it's really, really early. We'll let that kind of the smoke settle, the dust settle a little bit as we get closer to game day. Probably around Wednesday, we'll start to look at the numbers real heavily there and see kind of where the public is in that regard. But nonetheless, team metrics, power ranking. PFF has the Packers as the 6th best team in terms of their power ranking. They have the Chicago Bears at 17th. Defensively, this is a wild statistic. They now have the Bears as the better defense, ranking 16th, and the Packers 21st. Of course, the injuries playing a huge role in that. I'm excited to see if this Jeff Hafley defense makes a huge adjustment. As you can see, the good example, the last time we seen this Packers defense kind of first team look, obviously yesterday was more against the Vikings, was more like a preseason game sitting a bunch of starters. But the last time we seen them as close to healthy, as close to first string as possible was against Baltimore, where they ran the ball down our throat. Now, you looked at how Pittsburgh attacked Baltimore last night. What did they do? They loaded the box and said, we're going to make Lamar Jackson beat us. And he did late a few times. But then what happens? Down the stretch, Aaron Rodgers answers the call, and they no longer have to load the box because you're not worried about them running that much because they now have to pass the ball. Forcing the Baltimore Ravens to throw the ball really played right into the hands, I feel like, of the Pittsburgh Steelers, although they did go right back down the field and attempt a reasonable field goal that they pushed right, just like Chris Boswell did on the extra point. So with that being said, this Packers defense, 21st, the Bears 16th. So they do give a slight edge to the Bears, who continue to take the football away, man. It's wild how they take the ball away, but they're ranked so bad. They're ranked like 22nd in run defense, or no, yeah, 20, I think it was 22nd in pass defense, 28th in run defense. So it's just without the takeaways, this Bears defense, scoring defenses would be even worse. right? So again, got to protect the football when you play them. Power ranking on offense, the edge goes to the Packers 5th, Bears 7th. I think that's the first time this year that PFF has kind of looked at the Packers as a better offense in terms of the team metric rankings than the Bears. So they've somewhat switched, right? Micah Parsons gets injured. You lose Devontae Wyatt for the rest of the year for injury. And all of a sudden, the Bears defense is ranked slightly higher than the Packers, but the Packers offense has come roaring back, and they're ranked higher than the Bears, according to PFF. Strength of schedule played. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Please remember this episode next year when people bring up strength of schedule at the beginning of the season. You guys know the Bears had a very easy schedule, right? Well, don't look now, but according to PFF, strength of schedule is neck and neck. The Packers are 7th toughest schedule. The Bears are the 8th toughest schedule. And remember, that was the talking point around the Bears all year long, was that they played an easy schedule. And then once the dust settles, lo and behold, they got a top 10 strength schedule. So again, that's something that's just a goalpost that's constantly moving throughout the year. Is it something you shouldn't look at? No. You should look at every bit of information you can find. But again, just remember this next year when we go into week 1 and people talk about how tough this team's schedule is, how tough that team's schedule is. By the end of the year, things have completely flipped for the most part. All right. In terms of average offensive snaps, the Bears end up with 67 snaps a game. Packers are at 63. In terms of run to pass ratio, the Packers have ran the ball 43% of the time to the Bears 41% of the time. Obviously, the Bears are passing the football more than the Packers at 59% a clip, and the Packers are at 56.6% there in terms of on a per game basis. Now, running the ball, they have the better running team. That's not even close. At a positive 0.03. They've been a very, very solid running team all year long. EPA per run, that is 0.03. The Packers minus 0.07. EPA per pass, the Packers, it's not even close. They've ran away with it at a 0.21, with the Bears at a 0.06 in EPA per pass. Looking at the quarterback matchup here, you got Jordan Love, an elite 88.5 PFF grade. The Caleb Williams PFF grade has now risen to a 76.4, but still significantly lower, 12 points lower according to PFF's grading system. Caleb Williams is lower than Jordan Love. So that puts Jordan Love's power rating rank at an 8. And then you've got the Caleb Williams ranking at 16th. And again, I'm sorry, the power rating itself is actually a 4.5, ranking 8th for Jordan Love. And Caleb Williams is a 2.5, ranking 16th. So he's now considered a top 20 quarterback. Right around the 15 mark is where I've kind of seen him at the high point this year. Makes amazing throws. He's improved his game tremendously. The maturity he's shown on the field, I think, is huge for the Bears. But again, one game to win, one play to make. I'm going with Jordan Love over Caleb Williams, and it's really not that close as it sits right now. So again, we'll dive into the injury report as we get a little later in the week. As you can see, multiple players on the injury report for both teams here. But as you notice, the PFF grades, Rome Odunze is going to be interesting to see if he's active. I imagine he will be. That's why they were trying to hold him out. His PFF grade is 70.8. And then you got Tryon Shayinka, if I'm saying that right, edge defender. He was out or inactive this week with a head injury at 72.2. Pretty solid PFF grade there. And then Ozzie Trapillo, offensive tackle with the leg injury, inactive this week as well. He has a 70.0 PFF grade. You got several players obviously on the IR. And then when you look at the players that were inactive for the Packers, Malik Willis, 92.3. I imagine he'll be back this week in the backup spot. So that makes you feel really, really good. If for some reason Jordan Love gets hurt, you feel really good about your backup quarterback there. Obviously, Micah Parsons, the biggest thing there on IR. Also inactive this past week against the Vikings. Josh Jacobs, 86.1. Zach Tom, 83.5. Xavier McKinney, 80.6. Tucker Kraft's on IR. He's not coming back. Edgerrin Cooper, 75.7. Just kind of show you some of the players that the Packers were missing against the Vikings in that, 16-3 losses. It was really more like a playoff game. All right. So we'll dive into this a little bit deeper as we get into the week. Just wanted to give you guys the information there on what's going on with the playoffs and exactly how everything unfolded going into the wild card round. One last thing. How did the Bears play against the Lions? I want to point this out, guys, because this wasn't a game where the Bears were just, if we win it, no big deal. They were playing for the number 2 seed, right? And that's when I say best case scenario, they ended up losing. and the Eagles dropped to the Commanders. So obviously we were rooting for the Bears to win because we wanted to be the team to play the Bears in the first round just to get our revenge, right? To have an opportunity at that revenge. So we were kind of saying, okay, the Eagles will probably take care of the Commanders, and the Bears will probably win as well, right? Or even if they lose, however, right? You're rooting for them to win, so that's the team that gets the number 2 seed. So you play them as the 7th seed. But really, the best case scenario happened on both fronts. The Commanders at 4-12 coming in this game, they came out here and beat the Eagles 24-17. So it's like, okay, that takes care of business. But then the Bears end up crapping the bed too, right? They lose 19-16 against a very banged up Detroit Lions team. So Ben Johnson ends up getting swept, right, by Dan Campbell, his former boss, his former head coach. And they improved to 9-8. They missed the playoffs. The Bears fall to 11-6. They're now on a 2-game skid with the healthiest their roster has been other than Rome Odunze. So again, you look at the Packers and think they're limping into the playoffs. And we are on a 4-game losing streak, right? However, we've been just riddled with injuries those last 2 games. You sit all your starters and kind of accept the fact that, okay, we're going to lose this game to get healthy going into the playoffs. It's a little bit different momentum for the Packers as you feel rejuvenated, right? You feel rejuvenated getting some of these players back. And with the Bears, it's like they've had guys back and they continue to kind of skid here because they were shut out the first 3 quarters of that game. And of course, Cardiac Caleb attacks in the 4th quarter, kind of comes alive, scored 16 points. But the Lions ended up hitting a field goal there in the 4th quarter to get them over the hump. So again, they were outscored 16-0 through the first 3 quarters of that game. When you look at the box score, let's see how Caleb ended the day. Pretty decent stats, right? 20 of 33 for 212 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he did take a sack there for a loss of 7. So a fairly decent performance there by Caleb Williams, only having the 1 interception. The big thing that sticks out to me, though, guys, Jared Goff, 27 of 42 for 331 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice for a loss of 15 yards. Why is this important? Remember what we said about the Packers and how they approached Week 18 against the Vikings. We wanted to put nothing on tape. I was watching another stream, and I heard the host talking about, why ain't we throwing the ball down the field? Why don't they let Clayton Tune throw the ball down the field? Why? Why do you want to show a concept that you feel confidence in? Now, if you just want to run an all-go, they can't get much from that. I get that approach. But Matt LaFleur kept things so vanilla, they now can't go back and watch Jordan Love's tape against the Vikings. So they got to go back to the previous week against the Bears, right? Well, you can't really watch that one. Or no, it wasn't the Bears. Who was it? I'm trying to think now. I've got my schedules mixed up here and already closed that out. Whoever it was, they didn't see Jordan Love against the Vikings. They didn't see them the week before, right? You guys help me in the chat. I'm trying to think of who it was they played the week before. Nonetheless, they got to go back like 3 or 4 games before they can see Jordan Love. Actually, I think it's 4 games. They'll have to go back 4 game plans to see Jordan Love and how Matt LaFleur wanted to attack a defense. And then we go in and we can watch their previous game, Bears against the Lions, and see exactly what their offense did to attack, right? We can go and see, how did Jared Goff have so much success outside of the drop pass that got tipped in the air and picked off by the Bears? Completely fluky play, but again, soon you got to just accept the fact that the Bears are good at taking the football away, right? Maybe it's that they're not aggressive enough in the secondary and their eyes always on the ball, and they capitalize on some of those plays as opposed to playing more aggressive on defense in terms of coverage, right? But with that being said, we could go watch that game and go, okay, here's how Jared Goff just cut them apart, right, for 331 yards. You feel good about how Jordan Love can go in and match up. Amon-Ra St. Brown, why did he have 11 catches for 139 yards? Why did Jameson Williams have 6 catches for 74 yards? You know what I'm saying? That Amon-Ra St. Brown, that can be Christian Watson's numbers, right? Well, if you want to look at it from a specific deployment standpoint, you could say Amon-Ra St. Brown plays their slot receiver for the most part. I know he moves around a lot when they're in 12 personnel, but that can be Jaden Reed's numbers. Jameson Williams' numbers can be Christian Watson's numbers, right? Khalif Raymond, you know, you could kind of match these guys up and go, okay, we can do what they just did against the Bears if we attack the same way. The Bears are going to be looking to make an adjustment and improve upon that game. But the point is, They put a lot on tape yesterday just to lose by 3. To complete the season with a 2-game losing streak. That stuff's important. We've got that tape. The Bears don't have that tape on the Packers because we haven't put anything on tape in quite some time, right? I think this is absolutely hilarious. Dark Arts Poker says, Caleb, 58 yards shy of 4,000. And some people are going, what does that matter, Clayton? I'll tell you what it matters. All year long, when the Bears were struggling early, right, they get off to kind of a slow start, it was, well, at least the Bears are going to have a 4,000-yard passer for the first time, right? That's going to happen this year. He still fell 58 yards shy. And is that important? In the grand scheme of things, no, it's about winning ball games, but it's just hilarious that they really leaned on that early. And now you're seeing they still came, 58 yards shy of 4,000 against something that I don't put a whole lot of stock in, Dark Arts Poker, other than the fact that there were so many Bears fans that were just raving over that, right? They absolutely love the fact that he was going to hit that this year. So let's see here. One last comment. Mike in the chat says, man, our D has fell off. Injuries are killing us. Hafley will have to coach his tail off. I agree. Completely agree. Now, here's what's the good thing, right? We played the Vikings starters yesterday, and I don't think anybody's going to pretend like the Vikings are a great football team. I don't think they're a horrible football team. I can't remember how many games they ended up winning this year, but it wasn't like they finished with 3 wins, right? However, with that being said, this is what's awesome about what we seen yesterday against the Vikings. You've seen Baron Sorrell step up big time, right? You've seen Colin Oliver had a little flash to him as well. Obviously, you're missing Micah, but you're going to have Rashawn Gary starting on fresh legs, and you can kind of see he's starting to wear down as an aging vet with all the football he's played. You're going to have LVN fresh legs, right? He didn't play yesterday to the best of my knowledge. You're going to have all these guys fresh. They're going to be as healthy as they've been all year long, having kind of that extra bye week. And now you've got 2 young whippersnappers. What if Jeff Hafley starts to dial up a little cheetah package? What if he throws some pass rushers out there? You got to get Chicago behind the sticks in order to do that. But I like Colin Oliver going after Caleb Williams with his I don't want to say versatility, his athleticism, right? Who's going to be that guy? Is it going to be like an extra spy with Edgerrin Cooper? Or are you going to dial up some blitzes with Coop and Quay? Quay didn't play yesterday, right? So Quay's going to be as fresh as he's been all year. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be really, really fun to see how everything unfolds in this Packers versus Bears matchup. So again, just wanted to hop in here this morning and get you guys a quick episode. Here is the update on the playoff schedule. Now you know exactly how the slate looks. We'll dive into this game a little bit more later on today. I'm sure we'll get live streams going out. As soon as we get information on injuries later in the afternoon, I'll go live for a quick 20-minute episode and get you guys that information as quick as possible. So everybody do me a favor, hit that like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. Let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this matchup? We're early in the process, but how do you feel about this matchup? Packers, Bears, Saturday night at Chicago, at Soldier Field in the Windy City, probably going to be in the 20s, cold weather football the way it's supposed to be played before those soft-ass Bears finally give in and build a dome. I think this is something that's going to be – we're going to look back in 5-6 years and think, man, I miss those days. I miss those games in Chicago when the weather was a factor, right? I just hate that the rest of the North has gone soft on us, but Lambeau will always be outside where football's supposed to be played, and that makes me damn proud. We're going to be the only team in the NFC North that are brave enough to brave the elements the way football is supposed to be played outside. With that being said, everybody have a great day. Hit that like button for me. Hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about this matchup, and we will see you guys later today. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go.
We're out.
Bye, guys.